are listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy. Slušate svoj mozak uživo. Program će uskoro početi. Uživajte.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I'm your host, Ollie Vogt Larson, and happy Thirsty Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Thirsty Thursday. We're bringing it on. We're bringing on Thirsty Thursday. If you don't know, there is a clip out there. There is a right-leaning journalist, Patrick Hawley. He went ahead and asked one of my favorite senators, Lady G, Lindsey Graham, if you're not aware, a great and pertinent question. Roll the tape. Go.
Hey, Lindsey, why don't you just admit that you're gay and then people won't blackmail you anymore?
What a queen. Look at him walk away in this clip. I'm going to leave it in the description. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful shot of him being humiliated. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest cheerleaders for this conflict, one of the greatest cheerleaders for the president, Lindsey Graham, Lady G. We love him. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also Racial Statistic Thursday. Racial Statistic Thursday. White Americans are 56% of the population of the United States, but they pay 75% of the tax revenue. They are one of the only groups in the United States that uses less in social programs and grants than they contribute in taxes. Curious. Does anyone also want to bring up how redlining isn't inherently racist and it wasn't when it was being practiced? It was based around whether or not your neighborhood had high crime rates. Multiple peer-reviewed studies have found that redlining practices were actually racially neutral. And actually, redline spots routinely included Italians, the Irish, and Jews, Aryans' least favorite whites, except the Jews. The Jews aren't white. They're Middle Eastern, and in fact, many redlined areas in many of the major cities like Boston, Philly, Seattle, they show neighborhoods with almost no blacks being targeted, simply due to their community's behavior. Actually, and this is going to shatter it, and I'm sorry for anybody who just heard about redlining one time. They heard it was racist because it targeted black people or whatever. Even though the numbers literally show the exact opposite. And when it comes to this, ethnic whites made up 82 to 85% of the people in redlined districts. Ladies and gentlemen, it was the exact opposite of racially targeted, and anyone who blindly uses it as a talking point for institutional racism has TikTok brain, and they've officially become socially aware maybe 5 minutes ago. And they're learning all the good goy talking points for the white flagellation, redlining, Rosa Parks, she was just a tired lady and not a plant by an organization that knew what they were doing. Slavery, even though it ended over 160 years ago, is still for some reason making black people fail today. No one wants to talk about how only 2% of the slaves worldwide at the time were in the United States during the entire era of slavery. You know who was actually pillaging and kidnapping the blacks in Africa? Other blacks who sold their black brothers and sisters to white people on boats. This is what they meant when they said, we was kings. Let's cut the racial grievances, ladies and gentlemen. Let's understand that culture and behavior plays a larger part in where people end up. By the way, the same people that will tell you the conspiracy theory of institutional racism will call you an Islamophobic and racist piece of shit for even mentioning the birth rate in European nations and Sharia law, all of that stuff. Because for some odd reason, white people can scheme and be evil, but the merchant from Aladdin can't. You know what I mean? For some odd reason, it's his melanin content that means that he's pure of character. He just wants to sell you mystical items and bomb California. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of bombing California, I'm not saying these are my weekend plans, but they could be for Iran. Let's cover the latest coming out of this. The FBI, they have a special warning that's issued, and also we have an issued, what is this? Like a statement from apparently Iran's supreme leader, read on state TV. Let's cover it. Go. FBI warned Iran is aspiring to attack a Californian coastal area with drones in retaliation for the war. We also have our first purported message from Iran's new supreme leader read on state TV. We got a lot to cover. It's all brand new. A fresh security alert has been issued on the West Coast on high alert this morning after the FBI warned of a potential Iranian plot to bring the war to American soil. According to the confidential bulletin reviewed by news outlets on Wednesday, U.S. intelligence agencies suggest that Iran is aspiring to launch a surprise attack against targets in California using drones launched from unidentified vessels off the Pacific coast. Well, The FBI notes that it has no specific information on the timing or exact targets. The warning highlights concerns that Tehran may be looking for asymmetric ways to retaliate for the ongoing military campaign known as Operation Epic Fury. In response to the alert, Governor Gavin Newsom, my favorite guy, confirmed that California's emergency operation centers have been activated and is in, quote, constant coordination with federal partners. In Los Angeles, sheriff's deputies have already increased patrols around cultural institutions and places of worship as a precaution. Despite the heightened state of readiness, President Trump remained dismissive, and decisive, I guess, with just shutting down the threat when questioned by reporters on Wednesday, stating simply that he's not worried about Iranian retaliation reaching the United States mainland. Let's discuss this because I'm nervous about it. We've been talking about Iranian sleeper cells. We've been talking about how ever since and before 9/11, we've had a system where people will send in Al-Qaeda operatives. People will send, it doesn't always have to be Al-Qaeda, but this is just like the example of the types of groups. They come in with not citizenship, but maybe a green card. They overstay their visas. They find the ID of some kid who died, like an infant back in 1980. They assume that kid's identity, and they just work in an office building. They just live their ordinary lives. And then one day they're going to receive the activation code from the homeland, and they're going to, walk into a bank with a bomb. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying I have any personal knowledge of this. I'm saying this is blatantly obvious. We've been catching sleeper cells in the United States for a long ass time. Washington D.C. I think Virginia just had a raid on one of them. Let's hear this.
I can tell you, we just learned that the FBI reportedly warned California police about that unconfirmed intelligence report involving a possible drone strike by Iran off the West Coast. That's according to ABC News.
This guy has, like, my favorite voice I've ever heard on a reporter.
It's reports like that one, which...
That one, I love it. It's, like, whiny. It's kind of gay. I like it.
That's exactly why we see some barricades outside, fencing here. We know that by Sunday there will be hundreds of...
There's people in Spider-Man costumes walking around the area that's, like, that's shut down. All of these sorts of... They're, like, modeling all sexy for the camera. If you don't believe me, I'll leave this link in the description so you can cop a peek.
Police officers deployed here to the Dolby Theater along with hundreds of federal Homeland Security and FBI personnel. Moments ago in a virtual news conference, Governor Gavin Newsom said that he was aware of those threats from Iran to attack areas of California with drone strikes. Take a listen.
Interesting.
As it relates to the broader concern, as it relates to drone strikes, we've been aware of.
Okay, if you're going to be running for president, like in 2028, like most people think you will, because Kamala, we're not going to make the mistake of going with her again. So it sucks. I don't love that he is probably going to be 2028's nominee. He has to quit it with the, I appreciate that. I appreciate where you're coming from. He talks too much like a financier guy. He talks too much like he's wearing a vest all the time.
Of that information, we've been working collaboratively through the SOC, which we established right after the war began, the State Operations Center, working with the Office of Emergency Service, but also working locally to make sure we transmit any information that we have received, and we're aware of that, which has been reported, I think, by ABC 7. We're aware of that information, and we transfer that information in real time to our local partners. Drone issues have been always top of mind, and we've assembled work groups specific.
His veneers are really poorly done because it doesn't follow the line of his skull pattern whatsoever. I think it almost looks as though they pushed back his teeth a little bit. It doesn't look proper.
Particularly around those concerns, but that's all I'll share at the moment. I'm not.
He's slick. He's greasy.
More insightful beyond just what's been reported and how we're transmitting what we know to our local partners, which is critical.
So there you have it, but important...
No, I don't think we had anything, because did anybody else get nothing from that entire thing that he just read off? There was no information communicated to the masses.
To note, authorities emphasize there is no confirmed specific threat tied to the Oscars right now, but they say heightened vigilance is necessary given the global tensions created by the conflict with Iran. Authorities say an encoded...
Ooh, Conan better be nervous, because someone's going to stand up, someone's going to scream, there's going to be something that happens happens at the Oscars this year. I feel it in my heart. I feel like everybody else does.
Shortwave radio message believed to have originated in Iran was detected shortly after the reported killing of the country's supreme leader on February 28th. Investigators say the number sequence resembled signals historically used to communicate with covert operatives and may have been intended for sleeper cells, though officials stress there is no confirmed threat tied to it right now. ABC News, as we just said, reporting the FBI recently warned California law enforcement about intelligence suggesting Iran may have considered launching drone attacks from a vessel off the U.S. West Coast if American strikes occurred. Officials say the report included...
I'd like to see those bastards try. But ladies and gentlemen, LA, I don't think that that's going to be the primary target. If they do... Guys, can you knock down the fake tallest tower? Quite frankly, what is this? Okay, there is a tower in LA. Los Angeles tallest tower. And it used to be the bank center, the US Bank Tower. And then for some dumbass reason, the Welshire Grand Center, is that what it's called? The Welshire Grand Center. Yes. This disgusting, gross, ugly, Tony Stark-ass looking building, for some odd reason, it's tiny. It's shorter than the other one. It is shorter than the US Bank Tower. And as a matter of fact, the US Bank Tower has higher inhabitable floors. So for some odd reason, the Welshire Grand Center area, the building itself is labeled at being 1,100 feet tall. This only is because of the spire that they built on top. Knock this stupid bitch down. It's ugly. It is not appealing. It is a building that they tried to recreate in GTA 5 and just left uncompleted. It's the Mile High Club. It is an ugly building. It doesn't deserve the title of the tallest building in Los Angeles. And quite frankly, you'd be doing us a favor if you knock this stupid, ugly thing down.
No details on timing, targets, or perpetrators.
So Iran, right there, right? That big one, not the tallest building, the one that claims to be the tallest building with that stupid little spire. That's the one. Go for that one. This is a satire show. You can't come at me for terrorism charges.
And remains unconfirmed. Meanwhile, large gatherings like the Oscars remain a focus. Security experts also believe other likely targets include transportation hubs like airports, Jewish facilities, and big sporting and entertainment events. The FBI and Department of Homeland Security say they are continuing to monitor potential retaliation threats today.
Fun. They're going to blow up the Hollywood sign.
To do something here that was going to get a lot of attention. That is something.
It's actually probably the worst time to do something to California because nobody gives a fuck about California anymore. You missed your chance. No one's cared about celebrity culture since the late 2000s. Late 2000s, once Michael Jackson dies in 2009, the last of like major celebrity singers, no one gives a shit. You like Bruno Mars music, you're not going to go to one of his concerts is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? The only concerts people are paying to go to is like Black Sabbath or AC/DC, like these old school rock and roll bands that are like, you know, they're ugly, they're old and whatever, but they throw on the makeup, they look just like they did in 1978, whatever. It's typical. And I'm sorry, the culture is just not there anymore. If you wanted to make an impact on Southern California, you should have been doing this around the time Tom Cruise was dating Nicole Kidman. You know what I mean? Was it Nicole Kidman? Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Yes, okay, I'm not wrong. From 90 to 2000, I was dead on, ladies and gentlemen. Right around that era was the death of celebrity culture. Ever since then, no one cares about LA. No one cares about the dream. Everybody's moving to South Florida. Everybody's moving to Miami. The new GTA is not set in California anymore. It's set in Miami. Exactly. The cultural energy of the United States has shifted. And whatever. What I'm trying to say is Iran can pick better places to hit. California, it's not hopping, it's not banging. What you're going to end up doing is you're actually going to just get the insurance people a good season because there's going to be a couple buildings that are going to be damaged by these drones. Maybe it'll be like a nice little bank tower or something. And then the insurance people are going to make, they're going to make not make a lot of money, excuse me. They're going to have to pay out quite a bit. So you're only fucking them over. You're only fucking over the insurance agencies. What do you actually think you're going to hurt? You think Conan O'Brien's career is riding on how well the Oscars go? He's doing a podcast. He's doing perfectly fine. The Oscars are going to be on YouTube in a couple of years, so it doesn't even matter.
That would fall within their group of targets. It is kind of believed that they have target folders already ready to go should that day ever come when they get operationalized. The
Oy,
fear
oy, oy.
is that this day has come.
Security around the Dolby Theater will be extensive. Officials say bomb squads will scan every arriving vehicle using detection equipment and explosive sniffing dogs, while SWAT teams monitor for potential drone threats capable of carrying explosive devices. Undercover officers and specialized counterterrorism units from LAPD and the FBI, Homeland Security as well, they will all be stationed throughout this area. Back out here live at this hour, we can tell you that officials say sharpshooters will also be positioned on nearby rooftops, and officers will maintain 24-hour patrols in this immediate area. Surrounding the Dolby Theater. That is the latest for now here live in Hollywood. We'll send it back to you at the studio.
A light fell on him, and he wasn't able to actually keep it from interrupting his broadcast. Very sad for him. The warning from the president about how they better not be striking the United States homeland is coinciding with a major development from Tehran. The first official message from Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. I'll get it right eventually. Ali Khamenei was so much easier because he had the same name as me, just spelled differently. The Middle Eastern way, not the E way. Sorry, I had to take a sip of coffee. It was read on state television today. In the 7-part strategic address, Khamenei, who reportedly has suffered leg injuries in the initial strikes that killed his father, vowed that vengeance is a priority and demanded the immediate closure of all U.S. military bases in the region. He also confirmed that the Strait of Hormuz would remain closed as a strategic pressure tool against the West, signaling that despite the U.S. claims of nearing victory, the new leadership is bracing for long-term war escalations. And it's going to be a war of attrition. He's going out for retribution. He's going to, at his best, and admittedly, I don't think the Persians are a very powerful people. They, the best thing to come out of their country has been the cats. No one actually cares about the Persian language. Everybody just goes, are they speaking Iranian? No one knows about Persia. No one knows about it as a fascinating culture. And admittedly, they're not a strong culture. They're not a powerful people. They're a weak people, inherently, especially given their cultural demand, their cultural reliance on the Quran. Any culture that I feel is culturally reliant on that book where their key figure marries a 6-year-old, I don't love it, and I don't think it's a very powerful society. As the conflict enters its 12th day, the juxtaposition of drone threat in California and the defiant new leader of Iran have sent another shockwave across global markets. While Trump and his administration are continuing to dismantle Iran's missile infrastructure, the rise of the younger Khamenei suggests the regime decapitation intended by the strikes may have instead led to a more radicalized and desperate leadership. For listeners on the West Coast, the FBI is urging continued vigilance as even local officials are maintaining that there is no evidence of an imminent strike at this hour, but we all need to be nervous. Nervous, that's all we need to be.
Hi, I'm Diana Macedo. Let's get right to breaking news. Iran's new supreme leader has issued...
What the hell's your name? I'm Donna CEO?
Hi, I'm Diana Macedo. Let's get right to breaking news. Iran's new...
I'm Donna Macedo. I don't know what you're saying.
Issued his first message since the start of the war. An Associated Press translation shows the written message says the Strait of Hormuz will remain closed and calls for Iran's Gulf neighbors to shut down U.S. bases. Meanwhile... All
right, guys. I know it's not going to be popular. I know it's not going to be whatever. I didn't want to be in this war, but since we're in it, you know? And I'm saying let's just do it. Let's just level it. I'm calling it right now. I don't care about civilian casualties. It's called collateral damage, ladies and gentlemen. I'm saying, pick one of their favorite cities. Doesn't matter. I don't care. Make sure it has a cultural landmark that they're gonna miss, and just fucking detonate it, wipe out, literally level. I want the streets to be painted in blood. I don't want one Persian alive. I want it to be... Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I did not ask for this, but as an American, since we are doing this, I'm saying let's not be bitches about it. Let's go in and fuck shit up. If we're going to Afghan to this, we're going to Afghan to this, but we're going to take it to the point where they will have nothing standing. Find wherever this bastard is hiding, blow it up. Find wherever his brothers are hiding, blow it up. Find every shred of their bloodline, destroy them. Destroy them. Because this, I'm sorry, once you start with these people, and when I say these people, I mean religious zealots of any religion. I would say this about Bibi Netanyahu and his Judaistic, Kabbalistic weirdisms. I'm saying that once you've started a major clash with figures who think that God is on their side and will meet them in the afterlife after they have died for God, they are ready to die for God, and you need to help them on their way to dying for God.
Iranian forces attacked at least 2 oil tankers in the Persian Gulf overnight and destroyed a massive oil facility at Oman's biggest port. Now, gas prices are rising for the 12th straight day as governments rush to prevent a global crisis. Let's bring in foreign correspondent Marcus Moore in Doha, Qatar, senior national policy reporter Ann Flaherty, and senior White House correspondent Selena Wang. Hi to you all. So, Marcus, what more do we know about this message from the new Supreme Leader?
Hi, Diane. That message was just relayed a short time ago. It was delivered on state television on the new Ayatollah's behalf. He did not appear. Instead, a woman read the statement with of the Ayatollah on the screen, and one of the things he said is that the Strait of Hormuz will remain closed, and he also suggested that they have considered and looked at opening other fronts of the war and exploiting areas where the enemies, as he's described them, have little experience, and he said that there would be areas that are vulnerable to us. So apparently, because they have a little bit more experience hiding in sand dunes, they'll be able to get the upper hand on us. Have little experience, and he said that there would be areas that are vulnerable to them, suggesting that as long as this war continues, that they will look at other ways to open up new fronts, and that is potentially significant amidst the calls, Diane, for there to be calm and for this war to end immediately.
You know how there's calm and how there's peace? When the streets are silent. When there's no streets left. When there's no streets left is exactly when we're going to have a level of peace. You're dealing with a people who think in their minds, I'm not saying this is all Iranian people, but this is the majority of the Ayatollah's wartime government. These are people that are willing to let their own die. They're willing to let, millions around them take bullets because they all believe they're working for the same cause. They don't, I'm sure the citizens don't feel the exact same way. I'm sure they're very upset that their cities are going to have to be leveled for their government to continue forward whatever thing they'd like. Am I saying I'm happy about the fact that we're going to have to level Tehran? Of course I'm not happy about it. But you know what? If we're going to win, we got to win.
Heard from leaders here in the region. And it's also notable when we talk about this statement that the Ayatollah, the new Ayatollah, did not appear on camera. We also have not heard his voice. As you know, he's reportedly been recovering.
You know what I think is going on very secretly, and I think that this will probably be the new way that they govern their government, because they realize that it's not useful or beneficial in any way to them to have their leader showing up on state TV. This broadcast is out of here, this one town, send a missile. I think they're going to never reveal him. I don't think he's ever going to make a public appearance. I don't think that his country will ever be, in at least his lifetime, stable enough for him to make a public announcement or make a public appearance, go out there, shake hands, kiss the babies. They don't do that, you know what I mean? They, I'm worried. I'm worried that they're too smart to let him go out of the house.
I'm at a hospital, according to sources, where he suffered injuries, according to those sources, to his legs. He was injured in the same airstrike that killed his father and other family members. So it is notable that while we have heard a message from the new
we should have finished the job.
We have not seen or heard his voice.
And Marcus, Qatar is right there between the Strait of Hormuz and where these tankers were hit in the Persian Gulf. So what's it like in Doha right now?
A little nerve-wracking.
Right now, calm.
Things are calm.
Have a moment where the emergency alerts went out to cell phones again, warning of incoming projectiles, missiles, or drones. The Minister of Defense then said that those projectiles were successfully intercepted, but it's been a part of the daily life here, Diane, where since this war began, almost every day, people have been receiving these messages urging them to seek shelter and be prepared for incoming projectiles. And it's rattled some people, about what is in the days ahead, but at the same time, they also have found a bit of comfort in the fact that a number of these projectiles have been intercepted, and there is a feeling that they are well protected here. But certainly, people want this to end sooner rather than later.
I'm sure they do. Doha, is he getting Qatari money, and that's why he's going, shit's actually pretty calm here? You know, you can look at the Persian Gulf, you look at the sea, you get a nice little bit, it's not the sea, but you get a little bit of that tropical vibe, and it's nice. Everybody likes it. Let's cover our next story, why don't we? Because you don't need to be nervous about this. You're an American. Thank goodness that you probably live in some crummy, dummy town, and you don't have to worry about it. You'll hear about maybe a major city getting blown up if things go really, really bad, but otherwise, you know, you're not going to be in the skyscraper, you know what I mean? You're a pauper like me. You're like an ordinary fella living on the outskirts of a town. It's fine, it's chill, it's good. You're actually one of the better positions that you could be in for when society goes to shit. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we should cover our next story, why don't we? The United States President Donald Trump. It involves him and the YouTube star turned boxer Jake Paul in Kentucky. They had a bit of a what would you call it? A meeting of the minds. You know when Socrates and Plato, Socrates and Plato, this iconic moment, Socrates and his student Plato, they are foundational figures of Western philosophy. Socrates, who in this case is Donald Trump, he brings up this future figure of Western civilization, of intelligence, of might, of strength. Jake Paul, this true like a visionary. You know what I mean? I'm ready to review this clip with you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just jump right into it. Go. President Trump turned a logistics facility in northern Kentucky into a high-octane political stage on Wednesday, surprising the crowd by bringing out YouTube sensation and professional boxer Jake Paul. I love that they refer to him as YouTube sensation. The appearance took place at Hebron, Hebron. There was a town called Hebron, which is in North Dakota, I believe. And every time that I used to drive by it when I was a child, I was doing a drive, and I would specifically point out the sign, and I would go, Hebron. And it was a joke with me and my father, because at the time I would go like, why does he hold his gun sideways? 'Cause Hebron, ha ha ha. Where the president was officially promoting his Make America Affordable Again, MAAA agenda. That's dumb. Make America Great Again at least had the MAGA, but this is M with 3 A's after it. Trump, I enjoyed Make America Healthy Again more than this, and Maha sounds stupid. Trump spent several minutes praising the 29-year-old influencer's guts and courage, even going as far as to issue complete and total endorsement for Paul to run for political office in the, quote, not too distant future. The moment quickly shifted from a simple celebrity cameo to a full-blown political crossover event. Taking the microphone, Paul told an ecstatic audience that Trump had taught him, quote, to never back down from a fight, even when the opponent is much larger. A clear nod to the president's current military and political battles. The two then fueled a viral social media storm by performing Trump's signature YMCA dance together on stage. A clip that has already racked up millions of views on TikTok and sparked heated debate online over the intersection of celebrity and the 2026 midterm cycle. Beyond entertainment, the rally served as an aggressive strike against a local political rival. Trump used the event to hammer Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie, calling him a disaster and a nut job for his repeated defiance of the administration's agenda. Thomas Massie is the gentleman who's been pushing for the Epstein files releasement and whatnot. Everybody, for some reason, thinks that he's just a great guy, same as Ro Khanna. What people regret to not bring up is that Thomas Massie is a member of, is it the Order of Demolay? Yes, this is an organization that he is actually a subscriber to. It is a premier youth and youth leadership organization for young men aged 12 to 21, founded in 1919, associated, this is going to surprise you, with Freemasonry. Oh, for fun and curious. The Order of Demolay, or the Demolay International. This is, they got local bodies called chapters, led by master counselors, guided by adult advisors, usually master masons. They are a nerve-wracking group, and he just so happens to belong to them. And for some odd reason, people are still, they're into the show of politics, so they go, Thomas Massey's he's up there representing he's saving the women. He's like getting us justice. You don't realize that he is a part of the Freemason plot. He is definitely sent in as a fix-it guy. He's sent in as someone that makes you think that there's somebody doing something. When's the last time that we had any actual releasing? When's the last time you saw anybody in handcuffs because of what he's done? Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, he is just another actor in the grand show of things. If you don't believe me that he's a member of the International Order of Demolay, look it up. He's a member of the Kentucky chapter. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, his repeated defiance, particularly regarding the ongoing conflict in Iran, by sharing the stage with a massive digital star like Paul while simultaneously endorsing Massey's primary challenger, Ed Galrain, however you pronounce Gallrein. The president signaled that he was looking to use his high-profile celebrity energy to clear out dissenters within his own party, which I don't know how well that's going to work. The Trump party that it was the Republican Party 2016 to like maybe now, it's starting to fade in the sense where people are not as much like Trump. We know that it's not going to happen with the third term. We know that that's not going to be something that he's willing to push forward. I'm sure that he has people whispering in his ear. I'm sure he has Bannon pushing this, like, hey, the amendments to the Constitution, we can fix them and we can figure stuff out because, hey, we had an amendment that made alcohol illegal and whatnot. And it's like, all right. My point is that the Trump era, I feel, is coming to an end. People are realizing that the third term isn't going to happen. They need to start getting behind either Rubio or Vance, so they're going to have to nominate the successor. Whoever is going to be able to have the charisma, be able to stay up during meetings. They can't pick him because he's aging out of his role. They need to find the new figure for the MAGA movement. People are thinking that they're anointing J.D. Vance, and not many people can get behind him because he's a race mixer, and not many people are a fan of that. It's true. Not many people are a fan of that. They like his hillbilly background. They like the movie Hillbilly Elegy. It's a good movie. Inherently, it's directed by Ron Howard. It's actually a pretty good movie. Inherently about like how your destiny is in your own hands. Yes, you might come from a bad background. You might have parents that are absentee. You might have whatever challenges you face in your life. But if you take accountability, you go to school, you work hard, you dedicate yourself to making good out of yourself and the lot you have in life, then maybe things can work out for you. And more often than not, in an economy based on meritocracy, they do. It's a great story. Inherently, I liked it a lot. Glenn Close is really good in it. She plays his mama. Whatever. What's the other actress's name in it? Hillbilly Elegy. She's in everything. Amy what? Let me get this for you guys. I'm gonna sound like Amy Adams. I'm a dumbass. Amy Adams, of course I should know her. She was in The Master. She was great in that. She's in a lot of things and she's great. Let's review this clip of Jake Paul sweating like a monster, by the way. I have never in my life seen someone sweat through an undershirt, a dress shirt, and then a blazer. He has puddles of sweat underneath his arm. It's disgusting. If you want to see it, it's in the description. Go.
You have my complete and total endorsement. Everyone here has to do their part, and God's got us. Trump's got us. God bless. Love you, Kentucky.
Wow.
No, he's a great guy. He's a courageous guy and a talented guy. He's a hell of a fighter, too, by the way. And I just want to say, I'm going to make a prediction that you will be, in the not-too-distant future, running for political office. And you have my complete and total endorsement, okay?
Oh, yeah. That's exciting and eager. Can we just say it? Logan would be better. I'm sorry, he mogs his brother. He's more handsome. He is not subhuman. He has very decent facial presence forward, you know what I mean? He's a much more respectable figure than his brother. His brother needs to grow... Anybody who needs to grow a beard because the chin is embarrassing, it's like low testosterone, low respectability. You're not high in the pecking order. If you can't rock a naked face and look good... ugh, I don't know what it is, buddy. It's chopped for you. Like, it's seriously, like, you see people with the soy chin where it bleeds into the neck, and it's like, with the majority of beards you see, by the way, the majority of beards are because the men, they don't have the what is it? Not the claves. They don't have the mandibles. They don't have the jaws for it. And if you can't look hot with a shaven face, if you can't look hot with just, like, your natural jaw, man, it's going to be rough for you in this world. Beards are not it. Beards, they come in and out of fashion, but clean face, man, clean face is always in style. It is. And I'm sorry if you're a bearded gentleman listening to this. I actually think that some people rather look better with a beard. I think some people look, whatever. My point is, it's up to you how you want to stylize yourself. It's up to you, whatever. But when it comes to, like, manliness and whatnot, I don't think that anybody who needs to cover their natural chin with a beard, it's very Middle Eastern, you know what I mean? It's very czarish. It's very, like, you sit in a temple, you think you're wiser than other people and whatnot. All the hair, by the way, I've noticed this with men with beards, all the hair that is supposed to be sitting on top of their head is migrating down to their face. And I don't know if it's just, I know that listen, I'm not saying that my hairline is anything to brag about. It's pretty back there. I'm widow's peaking it. If you've seen Michael from GTA 5, I got a bit of that going on where, like, the sides and the corners of my hairline, they're starting to creep back a little bit. I'm not ashamed of it. It's just a natural thing that every person with a receding skull like mine goes through. I have, like, this alien skull. It's called Egg City, and it's beautiful. I am proud of my intellectual looking forehead. Yeah, and what my point is, I have a point here. I'm not just ranting, I do have a point. People with beards, I worry, and I know that this is not genetically proven or tested. I feel as though if you sit with a beard for too damn long, it steals all of that hair-making genes. It steals it from your head. You know what I mean? Have you never noticed that people with a beard for extended periods of time, their hair just falls, it falls in quality, it falls in texture. It's just not it. Because I don't know if it's your body creating more oils on your face. By the way, acne. Acne, I've noticed, is really bad for gentlemen with beards. So, maybe this is just, to wrap up my section on Jake Paul and my opinions on it, I think that the beard is really just what we gotta tackle this here. But unfortunately, below the beard, he's hiding an embarrassing chin. Men need to be working on their chins, ladies and gentlemen. Chin Thursday is what we're going to call it, ladies and gentlemen. It's Chinese Chin Thursday. The Kentucky stop comes at a critical time for the administration as surging gas prices and a stuttering economy continue to test the public's patience. While Trump boasted that the war with Iran is won and the country's military capabilities have been degraded by 85%, his reliance on the populist figure like Jake Paul suggests a calculated effort to keep younger voters on the MAGA base energized. Whether this leads to Senator Paul or simply a viral news cycle, the Hebron rally proved, that the current political landscape, the line between the boxing ring and the campaign trail, is thinner than ever. It's always been that. At least a little bit. Like, once we got the gentleman who made a movie with the monkey being president, it's been silly, and that was in the 80s, so quit it. Most of us weren't alive for that. And what I'm trying to say is it's the people, the celebrity in politics, it's older than a lot of us, so quit acting like it's never been a thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we should run into the rapid fire section of today's headlines. A lot of things you need to know about. Keep your media diet healthy. That I can't dedicate 4 to 5 paragraphs to every single goddamn thing. So let's just blow through a couple of the major stories. Bang, bang, let's go. Bam. This anti-ICE protester lit himself on fire while torching the American flag. I'm not saying that I'm a fan of this, but it is funny. This is warning graphic content. By the way, that's the only type of video I want to see. So it's a scene of a bunch of goons just kind of standing in this empty street. It looks like they're protesting or something. Oh, shit. Okay, so I think, people were cheering because he was holding the flag at first, and then eventually it climbs up his arm, and then they censor out his whole body, and it just becomes this censored blur. It's not the black bar, but it's a censored, like, when they just blur it out a little bit, it glows like he's a light bulb, and then you watch him kind of collapse. What a fucking dumbass. Oh my god. Oh! His coat's on fire! What a dipshit. Oh, for fun. You really made your point, ladies and gentlemen. I'm always a free speech person. I'm someone who believes it's your right to burn the American flag, even if, even though inherently, I understand that it's a symbol that means a lot to a lot of people. I have people in my family who served in the military, so I understand treating the flag with some degree of reverence. I personally never let it touch the ground. It's a personal practice. I'm not saying that you should be forced to treat it with any amount of reverence. I'm not saying that my perspective needs to be shoved down your throat. But it is a little bit of karmic debt in the sense where, not real karma, because karma does not mean what most Americans think. I'm saying karma in the American sense where it's something bad happened to somebody that I didn't like. Karma in the traditional sense means that it is the full weight of your actions in your life. It's comparing that and then eventually testing whether or not your spirit is clean. All this, it's a lot. And quite frankly, Eastern philosophy in general, I don't think many Americans understand perfectly. Even me, with the way that I'm trying to find the words to describe it and whatnot, even I don't have the clearest and best picture on it, but I have been told by many people individually that Americans personally do not understand the concept of karma, at least the way that the Eastern individuals, the originators of the word and the concept do. Americans have turned it into this nasty, very kind of like, you harmed me, you did something bad to me, or you made me feel bad, and something bad happened to you, and it feels good. That's very witchy. That's very, like, pagan-y. It's very... And by the way, people will go like, oh, witchiness and whatnot. That's not real. Witches are real. Are you talking about... Are you legitimately going to try to tell me that witchcraft and witchery is not a real practice that people are interested in practicing? People have been grinding up baby goo, kidnapping babies from the colonies of like, America a couple hundred years ago, and they would grind it up in this, like, mortar and pestle type of thing. It's like the witch. And believe it or not, those practices of taking, like, baby skin, baby whatever, and grinding it up and then putting it on your skin to keep you youthful, what do you think all of the baby foreskin stuff that they sell in Asia and sell to wealthy Americans, what do you think that's all a modern form of? It's modern witchcraft. It's modern witchcraft where these people are literally grinding up infancy and allowing people who have enough money to pay for immortality. Not immortality in the sense where they're going to live forever. They're going to look purer. They're going to have smoother skin. And if you do not believe that witchcraft has origins in reality, and if you don't take it seriously as something where people do practice it, and it does have some scary elements that people really shouldn't fuck with. You get called crazy, by the way, if you talk about what, like, oh, yeah, maybe people in Salem, they were genuinely scared of witches. People will go, no, it was a way to keep women down. It was a way to prosecute mouthy women. It was just misogyny. Well, that neglects the fact that there were certain real practicers of witchcraft. It's true. It is true that some people would meet in the woods. It's true that some people would dance around fires. They would believe that they are in commune with spirits. And by the way, some of these people kidnapped babies from local villages and killed them and used them in rituals that they believe made them younger. And people will go, oh, the crazy Puritan Christians, always scared of witches. And then they'll go like, it's always been a thing where people think that you're corrupting the youth. They're using that with trans people these days. It's a modern witch hunt. Are you saying that the witches that were being persecuted when it comes to legitimate witchcraft, kidnapping and killing people, Aleister Crowley devil worship, they don't have any issues? They maybe shouldn't be investigated for animal cruelty or in some instances murder? That's a really tough conversation, because the same people that want to go, oh, the witchcraft trials were all about misogyny. They also want to say, well, hey, maybe there's something to witchcraft. Well, hey, maybe there's something to maybe the pagans understood a little bit about the naturalistic world. They will call Christians crazy for thinking that witchcraft is dangerous, and then they will think that witchcraft actually does have some level of merit. They're the same people that put moon water out. Like, I grew up with moon water. I grew up around moon water where it was like, yeah, we charge this bottle under the full moon, and I nip off the bottle, by the way. I still have mine in my closet. And I nip off the bottle every now and then, because, especially when I'm feeling sick, because for some odd reason, it does something. It does something genuinely, but for some reason, when you talk about this with other people, even people who are spiritually minded, even people who believe in the energies, even people who believe in all that, they'll reject the idea fully that witches are evil or capable of evil. They'll go, no, actually, witches, they were more often than not healers. They were the people who protected society. No, they weren't. In most instances, witchcraft was used for the personal benefit of the user. That is what the majority of magic with a K is all about. And a lot of people don't really know a lot about it. They just look into the surface level of these things. They don't know about how, like, Aleister Crowley, he founded Thelema. It was a magico-religious occult social movement based on the 1904 text, The Book of the Law. This basically was around the idea of true will, do what thou will. And I just want to make it very clear. This ties into the NASA program. This ties into the original founders of the jet propulsion program. They practiced Aleister Crowley magic. It was horrific. And a lot of people will call you crazy. A lot of people will go, why are you even talking about this stuff? Why are you talking about the fact that Aleister Crowley might be directly related to Barbara Bush? Why are you talking about the fact that these people that believe in magic, you sound like a kook. But for some reason, I'm not a kook. I'm not a kook, even though I believe in this. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, ladies and gentlemen? People are kooky. People are kooky, and they believe in a lot of interesting stuff. And what is my message about witchcraft? It's probably real. It's probably real to some extent, and I don't think people should be fucking with it, in the sense where I don't think that you should be drawing sigils. I don't think you should try to be calling upon things. I don't think you should be trying to do any of that. If you want to play with the voodoo hoodoo when you're in New Orleans, if you want to get your fortune read, if you want to do all that bullshit, sure. It's more often than not parlor tricks. It's not real. But when it comes to actual blood ceremonies, bloodletting, when you have to involve a goat, all of these things, when you have to cut the heads off of chickens, like in Santeria, this is real stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't know about it, it's okay. It's perfectly understandable. You grew up wherever you grew up. Maybe you grew up drinking nuclear plant water in Monticello, Minnesota. About 200 gallons of oil, interesting, has leaked out of the Monticello nuclear generating plant in southern Minnesota, according to the Minneapolis-based Xcel Energy. Fuck, I hate Xcel. They have the worst rates, honestly. You bastards. Everybody hates you. Nobody likes you. If you work at Xcel, you're a part of the Nazi regime. The leak was discovered Tuesday morning, where crews were testing a motor that helps circulate water through the plant for cooling. Plant officials say that no oil had reached the Mississippi River. The spill comes more than 3 years after 400,000 gallons of water containing the radioactive isotope tritium leaked into the groundwater underneath the facility. Xcel says that it has notified federal, state, and local officials on the latest incident. So they've known about it for quite a few years. They are only now being forced to tell everybody about it. The public, WCCO News, go.
200 gallons of oil leaked from this Minnesota nuclear plant. Xcel Energy says workers found the leak at the Monticello facility yesterday morning. The company says some of that oil made it into a discharge channel that leads to the Mississippi River. Xcel says none of the oil made it into the river, but workers set up those white booms that you see in the river just to be safe. Hopefully they will absorb any of the oil that could have gotten in.
Hopefully.
As for how this happened, Xcel says water and oil mixed from the cooling equipment after an issue with the component to keep them separate. The plant sits right on the river shoreline and has had problems in the past.
What are you going to do?
Years ago, a radioactive leak spilled hundreds of thousands of gallons of contaminated water. Fixing the leak wound up killing hundreds of fish. After that incident, Xcel Energy committed to being more transparent about issues at the plant. They say they have already notified local, state, and federal officials about this latest incident.
You know what's absolutely wild? Like, you can't swim anymore. Did you ever as a kid, and I know that sounds crazy, but did you ever as a kid just like hop in a lake? Did you ever like jump in a river? Did you ever do any of that sort of stuff? Yeah, if you live near a city with a population of more than 8,000 or so, no-go. It's a no-go. It's an absolute no-go zone, ladies and gentlemen. Whether or not you're getting chemical contaminants or whether or not you're like my hometown of Detroit Lakes where you have swimmer's itch in your lake. It's Justin Bieber, by the way. He made a stopover in Detroit Lakes. It was one of the biggest moments for our town. It was like a moment where everybody took pictures of him. It was outside of Zorba's. Everybody was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Somebody who actually people would care if they died. Oh my God, somebody people care about came to the town for once. Someone where, someone where not just their obituary is going to be their biggest memory. That's really what was exciting to the town of Detroit Lakes, because it's a bunch of townies that are going to die there alone, and their stories will never be told. And it's unfortunate, and it was the biggest story for our town, but he ended up getting swimmer's itch from it, so it's absolutely chill. Speaking of Minnesota, the Minnesota bill I'm talking, you old bat. The bill in the Minnesota state legislature, this bill would allow nursing homes and assisted living facilities to host happy hours without a liquor license, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, my mom's going to be happy about this one. She always used to tell me as a young lad, if you can put me in a home, because we used to watch, what is it called, Step Brothers together. And there was that joke where it was like, as soon as my mother is of age, I'm putting her in a home. And I used to make that joke to her all the time. And she said, hey, as long as you can sneak me in a booze every now and then, you know what I mean? You come visit me every now. I'm chill with that. That's what she said. And now, guess what, Mom? Guess what, Mom? We're setting it up. Minnesota, apparently, they are going to allow, this is alleged, and I don't see this not passing, because Minnesotans, we love a good drink now and then. Mom, early retirement, Mom.
My friends and I love happy hour. Just
Hell
like
yeah.
many of you do, I am sure. Just because we are older and live in assisted living doesn't mean that we should have fewer freedoms than anyone else.
Hell yeah.
Our facility to coordinate this happy hour affords us and our families the peace of mind that we can enjoy life but not be out slipping on the ice to stop and get our box of wine. This
box of wine.
Is simply putting into law what many people assume is already allowed. Happy hour at the place where we call home.
My only regret is that we might not get invited to one of these happy hours if it gets passed.
Right?
There's an age threshold.
Damn. There's an age threshold. Maybe I won't be allowed in. Ladies and gentlemen, ooh, the Bay Plaza takeover is getting a lot of backlash. If you're not aware of Bay Plaza, if you have to be aware of the Bronx, you have to be aware of the area. I don't live there. I just look at maps all the time, and I'm interested in it. The Bronx has been having a cultural issue as of late, ladies and gentlemen. Teenagers have this habit, this nasty little habit of doing what they call takeovers, where they're like, we're not leaving until we get it escorted out. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, this black queen, honestly, I'm just going to be honest with you. She is out here making TikToks. She is going, you are embarrassing me as a black lady. Let's play this black queen and her words, ladies and gentlemen. Why you on my meat stick is her at. This is a TikTok. Let's play it.
Why don't we have shit in the Bronx? This is why, bro. This is now the second time that y'all have done this shit. Are y'all aware that there's a reason why that is one of the only malls we have in the Bronx? Are y'all aware that there's nothing to do here for a reason? Y'all wonder why people are saying, oh, the Sky Zone isn't gonna last long. This is why. Why is there no places for kids to hang out? This is why.
Hell yeah.
People want to run after school programs and places for kids because y'all act exactly like this, bro. For no reason. Y'all play exactly into the stereotypes, and it's sad, bro. A bunch of black and brown kids going to raid the fucking local mall. That's embarrassing as fuck.
It is.
Where are y'all parents, bro? Y'all parents need to get in trouble for this. I'm sorry.
Straight up.
These kids nowadays got a mind of their own, but now their parents need to start getting in trouble for this shit so they could really crack down on these motherfuckers.
Hell yeah.
Y'all are sherm. You are childish as fuck.
Y'all are
if
sherm.
you are going to go raid that mall, you are childish. Nobody with any common sense or even the smallest bit of smarts is gonna go do that. Y'all broke through the movie theater last year. Y'all robbed stores. Y'all broke store windows. All of that. What are you guys getting out of that? Talking about there's no shit for kids in New York. This why. Y'all are ghetto and fucking untamed. Y'all parents did not raise y'all right. I'm only 18 years old, bro. And I'm seeing people who are 17, 16 doing this shit. I'm scared for y'all. flag.
Yep.
Word to my mother, y'all need to start just getting violated at home. Y'all parents just need to start doing y'all in.
Just
no
fucking.
funny shit. Y'all parents need to start doing y'all bad. You 15, 16 years old doing shit like this? Yeah, no. You clearly not gonna learn. You clearly too far gone. I would have tore y'all asses out the frame. This shit is sad, bro. Here y'all go, giving them more shit to say about Hispanic and black people. This is why we'll never win. Certain people from our communities just do dumb shit. I hope the police come and just start charging everyone. I hope every single police force in the fucking New York's fucking state goes to that mall and cuffs everyone, every single last one of y'all bitches. And put every single one of y'all asses in jail, no matter how old. Jail, probation, fucking juvie, all of that.
Hell yeah.
I'm sick of y'all. I really am. Because, bro, what's the point of this? What do y'all gain from this? Last year, after y'all did this shit, they were considering making people get IDs to get into the mall. You have to be with someone 18 or older to get into the mall. That's what they were considering doing. So, once y'all do this now, y'all think that they're not gonna make this shit happen? Come on, bro.
She's a queen. She is honestly, and she went off further. She was like, y'all are ruining your lives. People are doing these plaza takeovers all the time. She's calling bitches out, and I love her. Why you on my meat stick on TikTok, ladies and gentlemen? She's got a great handle. She's got a great name, and she's got great takes. I haven't looked at any of her other takes. Maybe she's out there like saying we gotta slaughter these kids, and that's how we fix it. And when she said violated, I think she meant like violated by like your parents beating the shit out of you. I don't think she means sexual assault. I don't think she does, but that'd be funny as fuck. And even then, I'd probably be like, this girl's standing on business. I love it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we'll cover our final story. Why don't we? It's a fun one. It's a doozy, and it's gonna make a lot of people nervous, especially if you're of English descent, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hop over across the pond to check out what our cousins, quite frankly, the United Kingdom, the Brits, we are their American cousins. So let's go ahead and see what they've got going on, what they've got cooking up. Go. The Labour Party. If you're not aware, the Labour Party, they have made a conversation around Islam's issues illegal, undermining debate and freedom of speech. Prejudicial laws have been passed, and the czar of anti-Muslim hostility, is officially a thing, ladies and gentlemen. The British government has officially unveiled a new social cohesion strategy this week. In case you don't know, this means this is the new order, and if you do not conform, you're going to be thrown in, your ass is going to get thrown in jail. Introducing a non-statutory definition of anti-Muslim hostility to address record levels of hate crimes. According to them, Communities Secretary Steve Reed announced the measure on Monday alongside its appointment of a new independent czar or special representative tasked with overseeing the implementation across public institutions. The government argues the move is essential for protecting the UK's 3.9 million Muslims, citing the Home Office data showing that nearly half of all religiously motivated hate crimes in England and Wales are now targeting the Muslim community. Now, many of us are going to hear this and we're going to go, if you're targeting the idea that you shouldn't be hateful of any individual groups, if you're criminalizing hate acts, if you're criminalizing going into whatever's with a bomb, I feel like, you can tack on another charge, but otherwise, I don't really feel as though we need any more laws on the books that make killing people illegal. Sure, you can throw on a hate charge. That's what we do in America. If you say faggot when you're kicking a gay guy, suddenly it's a hate crime. You know what I mean? It's how it is. If you call him a faggot, but if you just beat him up, then it's just a crime. But if you call him a faggot, then it's a hate crime. So the UK can just do that. But that's not what they're doing. The new definition describes anti-Muslim hostility as, quote, intentionally engaging in, assisting in, or encouraging criminal acts, including violence, harassment, and intimidation directed at individuals because of their religion or perceived Muslim identity. Critically, the government chose to drop the more controversial term Islamophobia in favor of anti-Muslim hostility. The shift was intended to clarify that the policy protects people rather than shielding the religion itself from criticism. Reid emphasized that the Commons that the framework explicitly safeguards the fundamental rights to the freedom of speech, including the right to criticize, dislike, or even insult religious beliefs and practices. Despite these assurances, assurances, though, the policy has ignited fierce debate over free expression and religious privilege. Ladies and gentlemen, because what we are essentially dealing with is backdoor blasphemy laws. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over because the Brits, they'll be able to talk about their own country better than I ever could, but I want you to hear it right from their lips.
You won't believe this Labour government document. I've got it here in my hands. What do you think of this? Your kids spied on for Islamophobia in school, control over what news channels you watch, told you must adapt to immigrants' way of life. Flying the national flag is right-wing extremism, and a brand new Islamophobia czar enforcing some of it. This is Labour's new social cohesion strategy. Trust me, I've read it all. Let me talk you through it. Top of the list.
Mosques, schools and businesses have been attacked. Women harassed. Families are living in fear. We have a duty to act, but you can't tackle a problem if you can't describe it. So today we are adopting a non-statutory definition of anti-Muslim hostility.
What?
This gives a clear explanation of unacceptable prejudice, discrimination and hatred targeting Muslims so we can take action to stop it.
What does that mean?
Right, so first up, they're appointing a special representative on anti-Muslim hostility to, quote, champion efforts across the UK to tackle hostility and hatred directed at Muslims and those perceived to be Muslim. Note the choice of words there. Perceived to be Muslim. Does that remind you of any much talked about definitions, perhaps? This new czar could, in my opinion, bully people and organisations into silence, finding hostility in every honest debate, just like Canada's failed version that smeared Trojan horse reports as Islamophobic. I'm sure that's going to go down really well. They also will be adopting a non-statutory definition of anti-Muslim hostility as a, quote, a tool for government and organisations to better understand, measure, prevent and address it. They're urging schools, colleges, councils, the NHS, every single public body to monitor and report anything that could be labelled anti-Muslim under this expansive framing. What about integration, I hear you ask? Well, they're calling it a two-way street. To me, that implies Indigenous Brits must adapt to migrants' way of life too. And why? Why should British people have to adapt their well-established way of life to accommodate foreigners who you have had at least assumed moved to the UK for their love of our way of life, our values and our country? Why aren't they just integrating with us? Why has there got to be this two-way street? The report also slams Summers' displays of...
That is pretty crazy, because when you're a Western woman, if you're a reporter, you throw on the headscarf, because you know that if you don't, you're going to have troubles. Well, that's just the thing. That's how you act when you are a guest in someone else's country. If you are, and this is a controversial take, if you were born in a foreign country, you're not an American. You can become an American through citizenship, but just like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you are a guest. You must behave like a guest. You must make your bed. You must behave decently. You cannot be criminals. You cannot act poorly. You must behave, and you actually must behave better than Native Americans, actually. Native Americans in the sense of people born here, that you can get all, the indigenous, the feather wearers, knock it off. I get it. You need to behave just as well, if not better, because then guess what? You will have earned your place in this nation. Because when I am a native Minnesotan, when I'm a native United Stateser, I learn the rules of a nation that I plan to go to. You know what I mean? If Canada says that I can't be doing something that I really like to do in Canada, maybe I just won't go to Canada. I'm sure they have great economic opportunities. It'll take me 6 months to see a doctor. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a ridiculous thing to demand that people who visit your country, visit in the sense where they hope to become citizens, behave just as well, if not better, than native citizens.
National flags as the misuse, quote, of national symbols to exclude or intimidate, claiming the extreme right turns symbols of pride into tools of hate. But there's no mention of the actual hate marchers and their flags. Remember them marching through the capital. And imagine thinking this, that raising our national flag is a right-wing extremist thing to do. It really is incredible stuff. The report also states this, I quote, "The ease with which peoples of different cultures and races live side by side in our diverse democracy is both envied and feared around the globe." Well, all I'll say to that is, how do you think it's going in Birmingham or Leeds, perhaps?
Yeah.
And here's what it says about our ethnicity and identity of being English. And it's interesting because there's a lot of debate about this online.
English people absolutely have a right to take pride in their culture, their heritage, their land, and their language and their people. They're native to that land. The English are native to their lands. I mean, sure, you can say, technically speaking, no one is native anywhere. We're all travelers. We all got there at some point. But the inherently English white are the people who have belonged to that land for the longest time. They had staked their claim on it. It is their native lands. Can they defend it? That'll have yet to be seen. You know what I mean?
It's that leaders should promote a confident, modern patriotism, especially since, as they say, recent failures have allowed the far right to link English identity to being white or Christian, exploiting it as a...
Whoa. The English church is the official... What is the official religion of the UK? Religion of the UK. The Church of England, established as the official state church of... listen, ladies and gentlemen, the official state church of England, which is the southern end of the British Isle, and then the Church of Scotland are the recognized national churches. Both are Christian. They are Anglican. The Scots are Presbyterian, but still. What? Yes, it is a Christian country. It has always been a Christian country, at least ever since the establishment of the Magna Carta. What are the origins of Christianity in the UK? What are the origins of... You can look this up. In the UK. Boom. The 2nd to 3rd centuries AD under Roman rule. Knock it off.
Racial or religious construct that most people reject. They also want to crack down on what they're calling divisive content. Quotes, they want to do...
I'm sorry, guys, my UK listeners, you won't be able to hear this show because I talk a lot about the Islam issue. I talk a lot about it, so I'm sorry. This may be our final broadcast to the United Kingdoms. I loved Boris Johnson. He was such a goofy fella to look at.
This create secure online spaces in what I think is a blatant and unabashed attack on free speech. Who gets to decide what's divisive, by the way, and what isn't? Is it Keir Starmer, or David Lammy, or Ed Miliband? It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Then there's the push for making trusted news sources more prominent, particularly during crises. Their idea is to boost what they call trustworthy outlets during events like riots or unrest. I wonder who they might be having a little jab at here. Might it be Britain's #1 news channel, perhaps? Well, look, there is some good news in this report. They finally admit Islamism is the biggest threat to Britain, making up 3/4 of counter-terror caseloads and 94% of terrorist deaths in the last 25 years.
That'll do it.
These new powers will be delivered to shut down extremist charities, block hate preachers, and oversee homeschooling. And it will stand against blasphemy intimidation, they claim. Of course, you all remember the famous case of the Batley school teacher. In summary, this so-called social cohesion strategy, this rubbish, is nothing but a tyrannical blueprint for Labour's dystopian Britain, eroding freedoms, vilifying acts of national pride, enforcing thought police on kids and adults alike, and, of course, pandering to the far-left ideologies while betraying the very essence of British identity. Worst of all, it creates new Islamophobia weaponry to shut down criticism of the religion and anyone else who might look like they're Muslim, which is frankly insane. I'm sick of it. Labour has learnt nothing from the grooming gang epidemic that they oversaw, and successive governments as well, of course, and it seems to me they're willing for it to happen all over again.
Curious and fun, ladies and gentlemen. Not fun if you're a United Kingdom citizen. Thankfully, though, I am not. I'm an American, so I can shout as much as I'd like, and no one can do anything about it until I am slimed out on a college campus, much in the similar vein of Charlie Kirk. It'll probably be a college campus. It might be outside of a hotel. It might be like John Lennon. It could be I could get slimed out anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I think someone is just going to hear my voice and recognize me, and it's going to be like a sleeper cell activating. They're just going to be like, fuck, I've heard this guy. I don't like his opinions. Bang, bang. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I give you permission to make the "We Are Ollie Vote Larson" memes. I give you permission to mock my image into the ground. Because ultimately, that is the ultimate true staying power of humanity. No one will remember Socrates. No one will remember Plato. No one will remember these ancient figures, but we will remember Charlie Kirk, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed today's set of stories as much as I enjoyed gathering them for you. We will have a collection for you tomorrow, as per the usual. It's our Friday broadcast. We're finishing out the week. It's a fun one. We're gonna have a good time of it. As per the usual, there's a lot of stories that are pouring out, and I will be there to sort through them, dig through the shit, and serve them all for you in a lovely little box of chocolates, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot wait to see you tomorrow. If you want to be there for it, subscribe if you want more, like if you liked it, ring the bell for notifications. In the meantime, though, this has been Ollie Vote Larson with your brain on air. Thank you so very much for listening, and bye-bye.